Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about the dark night of the soul. These are periods of time in our life when everything seems to fall apart, when nothing seems to go right, and all the things that we were doing that used to bring us to our center, give us a sense of joy, increase our connection to God, source, the universe, stop working. It is a period when one might feel lost and confused. I'm going to start with a couple definitions that I found, and then Mitra, I'd like to pass it to you and hear your personal definition of the dark night of the soul. So here are a couple. A spiritual crisis where the ego is dying, but your true self hasn't emerged yet. A time when your spiritual practices stop working and everything that gave you meaning feels empty. And I'll share just one more. When all the parts of yourself you thought you transcended or healed come back with vengeance, demanding to be loved instead of fixed. So, Mitra, which one of those resonated with you most? And what is your personal definition?
I think they all resonated with me. But to me, I'm a simple person. I only understand things in a simple way. To me, is when what I've been told and what I have believed no longer makes sense. And by the way, the dark night of the soul might be a year or a lifetime. It doesn't need to be just one. It's like the time that you're going on a freeway, you're going south and you realize, oh, I think I need to do a U-turn. I'm going in the wrong direction. It's exactly like that for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying or doing or living certain way. And then when I'm alone, usually in silence, I realize, um, I know everybody said that's great. I know I thought it was great, but it doesn't feel great. There's something off. And then when that gets really exaggerated, and sometimes it does, that's where we call it the dark night of the soul. It's like all that knowing comes at the same time. And it really is the biggest opportunity. And we celebrate as Persians, we celebrate the longest night of the year. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Yalda. It's
Mm-hmm.
funny. We celebrate that. And this is a 3,000 years old kind of tradition. And the reason we celebrate it is because we know when we go through that much darkness, there is news about light. It's the same thing, except not collectively. Personally, you go to the darkness, which is basically lack of light. Darkness does not exist, lack of light, or light um, covered up is darkness.
Yeah.
Unveiling takes place.
Yeah. I really resonate with your metaphor of the U-turn. And it's funny, I experienced it this week. This topic is very much alive for me right now. I wouldn't say it's a full dark night of the soul. It's one of the mini ones. They tend to get more shorter as I evolve and I learn to surrender to the process more as opposed to resist it. But yeah, the last several weeks, as I've told you, I've just felt off my center. I can't quite pinpoint what it is. There's a heaviness in my heart. I did more of the things that that have worked in the past. The meditations that have worked, or taking my long walks, or listening to certain types of music, or playing music. Nothing was quote unquote working. I reached a point this week where I was like, the direction that I'm going in, at least the energy that I'm going into this, is not leading me to more peace, to love. I'm actually feeling like it's taking me farther away from it. So What do I do in a situation like that? The U-turn for me in that moment was just surrendering. Just let go. There's nothing to do. I don't need to escape this uncomfortable feeling, this heaviness in my chest. I don't need to solve it. I guess what I can do is just be with it and be curious about it and get to know it. Acknowledge that even when it doesn't look like it or feel like it, the energy of love is always present, and it disguises itself sometimes as this darkness. And when I can remind myself, I become much more receptive to getting to know the darkness. Yeah, so that was my U-turn this week. Very alive in me.
Yes, we know it's all alive in you because for the information of our wonderful listeners that are here with us, actually Ben decides the subjects. He chooses them, usually what is alive in him. He does all the work and I just show up. He tells me in the morning what it is and then we record. So I know that it's very alive in you, and I would just invite you to just consider one change in how you defined it. That love wasn't covering itself. It is us that we cover up the love. And that really makes it, and this is not about fault, it's about responsibility. That's what happens when we start believing what feels right to believe, when we start believing what's easy to believe. And we're so seeking happiness in wrong places that as soon as something simple, easy is given to me to believe, to feel good, I accept it. And that becomes part of my experience. And then when I keep accepting the not so true things for my happiness, then that dark night of the soul, or dark nights of the soul take place. But I am responsible for that. I need to see beyond that because when, as you said, when we are aware, moment by moment, we can feel what feels right and what doesn't. What is feeling right to the psychological aspect of me. I think people call it ego. And it's very difficult to identify when we're not aware. When my ego is happy and when my soul is happy, if I'm not aware, I will mix these two up. And I won't be able to tell the difference between them. And this is actually the dark night of the soul, is about somehow being in command of the ego, not destroying it, not getting rid of it. We need it. We're just misusing it and it's become too powerful. So I think it's important that we take responsibility for that too and not mix it up with the psychological aspect of what is happening. A lot of people may experience it as depression. I know I did. I know I felt like when this was happening, I mean, it happens all the time, but when it was happening in a stronger way, I was thinking, I've never felt depressed and I'm feeling depressed because the energy was gone. The yearning was for silence and darkness and quietness. So it feels like you're psychologically isolating yourself. But really, it could be a yearning of something much deeper than your psychology that is happening. And I think that's important to notice. That's important to differentiate so that you can attend to it in a different way or in an appropriate way.
One of the purposes of the dark night of the soul that I loved, it says, the purpose of the dark night of the soul is to shatter your illusions about how awakening should look, forcing you to let go of even your spiritual attachments. That's a spiritual angle of it, but there's also the illusions about how we should be in general and the things that we've identified with and attached to without even realizing it. Can you speak to that? what are common ways you've seen people when they're going through these difficult times? To you, it's obvious the thing that they're attached to, that they're identified with, that it seems like their soul is wanting to show them and to help them let go, but they can't see it. What are the common things that you see people
Mm.
being attached to
Being attached to,
having
what is the
and
main
having difficulty seeing?
Mhm. Things that have been sugar coated in life. For instance, uh, seeking love instead of being love, or attachment to tribes. That's one of the big ones. Whatever your tribe is, you called it spiritual. Maybe my tribe. And the difference between tribe and community is tribe is the one um, that somehow serves us and serves our ego to be with. And community is the one that we choose with consciousness, right? For instance, if just because I'm a woman, just because I'm a woman, I have a judgment about non-women, and I'm not even aware of it. That becomes my tribe, and that becomes my darkness that I don't see. So I see people doing, like, kindest people, saying, believing, and doing the most unbelievable things, but it's completely blind. They're blindsided. They're blind to it. They can't see it. And that is mainly the tribe that they belong to. Tribe could be their family. The tribe could be their political disposition. Tribe could be their spiritual beliefs and disposition. I mean, we've talked about this, that a lot of spiritual communities, so called, are, they act like, cults. You're not allowed to think differently. You're not allowed to object. And anytime that there are no-nos in any circle, that's the circle that needs to be questioned. If I'm not allowed, or relationship for that matter, if I think I'm not allowed to talk to you about certain things, then I question this relationship, or at least I understand its nature, that it's not as open or as deep as I think it was. So the dedication that we have to our families, to our tribes, needs to be really, really examined. That's why, I have almost a very clear philosophy. I don't belong to anything. I don't know what belonging is. I belong to the world, to the human community, to cosmos, actually, beyond human. But I don't understand who my people are. People say your people, and I say, who are my people? I don't know who my people is. Tell me. People where I was born, they're my people. People that I've chosen to socialize with, they're my people. People that I'm serving, are they my people? I don't know who my people is.
Yeah, it's interesting. um, I had a moment. There was a time when I was going through a difficult time, and I remember I was so attached to my community's perception of me, about how I spend my time and what work that I do. As you know, after I sold my business, I went through a really difficult time. It was a soul searching period for me, and to pursue another business endeavor, and to do something professionally, striving for success. My soul did not want that. My soul wanted to go inward. And it was a battle that I fought with myself, because um, my community and just social expectations were that I use my success to create more success, or to continue to create newer, greater things. And um, I really struggled with that for some time, to let go of what others could think of me if I chose just to take a hiatus from work. And it was driven by my attachment to belong to the tribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
until I
it's a dangerous
finally
thing.
realized that I'm doing not only a disservice to myself, but to them actually, by perpetuating an ideal that is actually creating more suffering than anything. I think it's great to pursue um, success and to pursue creating great things from a place of inspired action, from a place of openness. But when it comes from a place of obligation, of wanting to appease, to meet an expectation, it's a whole nother energy.
It really
And it's
is.
yeah.
Mm. I saw a group of young people that I had worked with many years ago, and I hadn't seen them. And I love fresh energies, young energies. They were all full of ambition and passion, and they all wanted to do different things. And there's just like one soul more clear than the next. But I hadn't seen them for about, I want to say 7 to 10 years. And then there was an event, and most of them were there. And I looked at them and I observed them, and I thought, oh my God, they've been purchased. Not all of them, but most of them. What do I mean? They all followed the rules. They were almost all in the same kind of line of business, no matter what they pursued and studied. They were given partners in life, chosen almost, and they all had the number of children that they're supposed to have, number of cars that they're supposed to have, and the homes and the areas they need to live in. And I was just watching them, and none of them looked happy to me, except one. It was very interesting. And that one was the one that did not follow the formula. It's fascinating to me how we are happy to see our loved ones miserable, but the same kind of miserable that we are. It's like, it's okay if you're suffering the way I'm suffering, but it's not okay if you pursued your own passion and suffered through it, and that's fine. You just need to suffer just like me. You need to be
Which is
just as unhappy as
it's a subconscious thing. People
yes.
don't do that consciously,
No,
you
of
know?
course
They
they don't. Not nobody does these things consciously.
yeah.
We can't harm each other consciously, even our enemies, let alone our loved ones and our children. But it's like a formula that they need to follow in order to be accepted by the tribe. And I'm looking at these like wonderful souls. You don't know how much I knew their souls. The passion that I witnessed, the purity and the clarity. And then now I talk to them at this event and I'm hearing, oh my God, just one of the crowd. How are you? Yes, good. Like I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I bought this and I'm buying that and I gotta buy this. And I gotta send the children to this school and that school. It's very expensive. It was almost like a um like pre-ordered talks that I just had with different people, but in the same way. And my heart was broken that night until this one person came and talked to me. And I asked them, what are you doing? And they were pursuing their passion and they weren't following the formula. They did not fit in the formula. They didn't have the number of children that they should have. They did not marry the person that they were supposed to marry, and their home was not the same in the same area as the rest of them. And I thought, oh wow. And this is the person that probably people are worrying about in the tribe.
Yeah, yeah. And for the people who are following the formula, that might work for them.
Absolutely.
They might go through their lifetime like that satisfied with whatever that gives them. And then there's other people's whose souls are just not in attunement with that at all. And those people who, like myself at one point, try to follow the formula, and it is like oil and water with my soul, right? And the more I try and follow the formula and not follow my heart, follow what that inner knowing is telling me, the stronger I'm going to get feedback in the form of dark night of the soul or other difficult things in that could arise in my life. That's the key, is to acknowledge that your soul is calling you to do something differently, and that's a beautiful thing. That is a
It is.
beautiful thing,
It is.
right? Because I can see. I remember going through a period where I was also like, well, why me? Why can't I just follow the formula and be happy? I don't want
Because if you followed the formula, you won't be happy. That's why.
exactly, exactly. That's what my soul is telling me.
Yes, that's why. Because there are people who are satisfied, as you called it. There are people who will settle somehow, meaning they say, it's okay. They've given up on this journey. And then there are people that they know that they will not be fed. And again, there's nothing bad or good about this. They're not making a mistake. You're not making a mistake. It's just what we have come to do. What have I come to do in this lifetime? And that really is a great question to ask in that so-called dark night of the soul. What am I here to do? Why am I here? Why? I mean, the great, question of human beings through the ages has been this. Why am I here? I was sick. I had COVID again, and I love my sickness, as you called it. And I was just contemplating on a very clear question. I was wondering at what level of consciousness I came to this world, and at what level of consciousness, frequency, coherence, whatever you want to call it, I am now, and then asking at what frequency would I like to leave my body, this body. So how did I enter? So if you gave it a number, in my head, I gave it a number. And what number you come with, these are all my formula. Please don't check it. It's not scientific. And like, let's say, uh, because of my other experiences, I arrived at like 4.5 when I was born. The question is, where am I at now? And it's a huge question for me. Am I like around 7, 8? And I would love to go at 10 if the grading is between 0 and 10. I would love to be as close as possible to 10. And then my question turned into, okay, how do you do that? And it goes back to exactly what you said, that just turn to love.
This is the trick, right?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
the
it.
how do you do that is, it reaches a point where it's not about actually doing anything. It's about allowing.
Absolutely.
There's nothing we need to actually do to reach what you're calling the state of consciousness of 10. It's a matter of allowing ourselves to get there, getting out of the way. The sages say it all the time. It's there in an instant. You could be at 10, what you're calling 10. You could be in a state of complete joy, bliss, and love, sustained, eternal, in an instant, in a moment.
You draw.
If you drop all of your thoughts and all of your meanings and all of your memories of things, right?
Sure.
Because it's there. It's what you are. It's what you are, right?
Yeah.
So it's a process of getting out of the way.
Yes.
In the beginning, there is some degree of doing. There is some degree of doing. But when you reach the dark night of the soul, it's not about doing.
That's
It's about
surrendering.
surrendering.
Yeah.
It's about allowing
Yeah.
love to enter our hearts and to show us what we've been blind to show us another way
Yes.
of looking at our situation, our circumstance, at ourselves, at the
Yes.
world.
I wonder if our listeners are you listening to us? Are you connecting to this? Do you believe you've gone through that night of the soul, that it's like unusual? Or not even soul? Have you gone through that experience? Because soul might be a little bit out of reach for some of us. But have you experienced it for no reason, no psychological reason? You just start questioning. You start really going deeper, asking questions that you've never asked before, pondering and wondering things. I really am interested to know how many people can relate to this, and maybe because we live in such a mental world, we always give it a mental reason. Oh, it was because this, and I was a child this, and because my mother did that, and because you reminded me of this. But there's a deeper question sometimes. Maybe this is telling me something deeper. Maybe I need to not resist this and let it tell me more. Invite it to cup of tea, as I call it. Come and sit with me, dear darkness. Tell me what news you have brought for me.
And you may not be ready for that. And if you're not, that's okay. There
Completely.
was a time when I tried that. There was just too much fear. Too much fear. It was too intense. It was overwhelming. And I tried to push myself to try and get those answers. And I just wasn't ready to get those answers. So,
And that's okay too.
yeah, I just want to remind everyone also gentleness is really key, is to attune with where we're at. When I went through periods of a lot of overwhelm, Mitra, it was simplifying things, just simplifying life, doing less, not trying to fix, just enjoying a walk, walking slowly, being present with nature, breathing slowly to let the dust settle. Because it's really hard to do anything when too much dust is kicked up. Yes, the dark night of the soul, it does kick up dust. That's the purpose. And sometimes our overreactivity to it kicks up an overwhelming amount of dust.
Wanting to get rid of it is the human default. That's something that is uncomfortable. We just want to get rid of it, and it's a pity. It's a gift that has come and is knocking at our door. And you're right. If you're not ready, that's fine. But our higher self, our soul, has a lot of patience. It's okay. It will wait for you, but not resisting it when you have an opportunity. I mean, for me, it was all about saying, that's okay, surrendering and not resisting, taking my time, taking really my time and being okay, bringing curiosity. Like, I'm really, really curious. What's going on? What do you want to tell me? And then after that, then you can find support, and you can just wait and see what happens, because we're such human doings that I think I need to do something. What do I do? I mean, when people talk to me, they say, what should I do? I said, well, both those words are inappropriate. Should and do. There's no shoulding and there's no doing. And it's hard. It is hard because we're used to just going at it. So yeah, it's a interesting process.
Find when I am going through a difficult time, I have like a mantra. It's very simple that just reminds me of some simple truths. For example, one of the most powerful ones is just reminding of myself that my essence is love. There was a time where I just saying that would not do anything for me. It didn't have meaning because I didn't believe it. So this came a little bit farther along in my journey when I was able to understand on a deeper level that my essence is love, and that has been a anchor point for me when things just get really blurry and confusing and dark. I remind myself that love is my essence, and I then begin to describe what love has been to me, or just remind myself like love is sweet, love is tender, love connects, love is compassionate, love is understanding, love inspires, love is creative, and
All
I will literally
inclusive.
all inclusive. There's so many. I mean, there's so many variations of that, probably an infinite number of ways that love can be described. And I will just keep doing that. I'll just keep reminding myself of what love is, my experience of love. And as I do that, I begin to connect with that energy and I begin to remember and I can sit with that energy. There's nothing I need to do, but just be with that energy of love. and the dust begins to settle a little bit. Clarity comes. Oftentimes, whatever I've been resisting, I let go, and that manifests in the form of tears. I cry. Yeah, so an anchor point. Having an anchor point can be really helpful when we're in dark times. What do you use? What if if,
Um,
if you're going through a dark period?
yeah, I flow with it a lot. I create a lot of space around it, not resisting it. I need to be alone. I create time as much as I can, as much as possible to be alone. Stay embodied. That's really helpful for me to stay embodied and connected to my body. I personally create rituals all the time, but I don't stay with them, just new rituals all the time. And one of the rituals that I do when I'm really in a difficult place is crying and showers and writing and journaling. It's really helpful for me to do that. It's like a cleansing. Journaling is getting it out, and showers are very symbolic. Water has always been symbolism of cleansing. That's why every religion has some kind of ritual involved with water. And uh, and I seek support if needed, because not all the time I feel like I need support. By support, I mean like a teaching or teachers, depending on that. Like one line sometimes really um, helps me when I go through some notes that I have. So really teachings that are good reminders, they're really helpful for me. But um, the most important one is letting it go and not feeling that I need to do anything. I'm just doing these things to help myself, but I know this is not the answer. The answer will come within when I am in deep meditation, deep pain, deep crying. Oh, I love intentional crying. It is so helpful. I call it the shower of the soul. The tears for me are shower of the soul for me. I know there's a lot of aversion in the society about crying. In fact, people are very rattled when one cries. But I find crying. I really wonder, you are that are here with us, what are your ways? What do you do? Like maybe some sharing would be useful for other people, things that you do that help you to um, be with your soul, be with your deeper self, whatever you call it. I'm really curious. I've never asked people, what do you do when you're there?
With all of these things, we got to continually attune to ourselves, attune to the environment. There can also be a desire to want to isolate. We talked about this recently. Isolation versus conscious solitude. There's a difference.
Yes, absolutely.
And when we're going through difficult times and we are isolating ourselves, that might not be supportive. That probably, isolation in and of itself, usually inherent in that is a running away, a resisting of something. How would you clarify that for those listening, Mitra?
I think the
Because everyone's
intention of
different
them.
too. Everyone's
Yes,
different.
yes, but intention of why I want to be on my own is very clear to me when I am honest with myself. One is through fear. Isolation comes from fear. What if this happens? What if that happens? And when you consciously are staying on your own and creating time to connect with yourself, that energy is the energy of like looking forward to it. It's the energy of connection and love and deeper understanding. For me, I believe it's easy when we are very direct with ourselves. It's easy to tell, am I avoiding something? That's isolation, fear. Or am I passionate about something that might be there? And I passionately wait for the knowing to come. And it's almost like you have a secret rendezvous with your lover in the midnight. I don't know if you've ever done that. I've experienced that. That like nobody knows. I remember, God, all these things we used to do when we were younger. Like, at like 2 a.m., I would like see my, boyfriend outside. It was like there was so much excitement. It was just outside of our home. We didn't go anywhere, but it was just like that excitement. It's just like that. My lover, my higher self. Now my lover is my higher self, is coming, and I wonder when it will arrive. That's a very different energy than thinking, oh, I don't want to go. I don't know what to
There's a
wear. People are just,
tightness, yeah.
there's tightness,
So
there's contraction, there's judgment. I think you're judging me. I'm judging me. I'm judging you. So there's a complete different energy about them.
which could actually, you say it's easy. It's easy when you're outside of it, but when you're in it, and I've been
Yes.
in it, it's not so easy, right? Because when I'm enmeshed, right, and I'm convinced that no, I'm taking solitude for myself, this is what I want. But I think what you described as an analogy is really helpful, right? One has the energy of openness.
Yes.
There's an energy of curiosity. There's even an energy of excitement, which can be hard, very hard to be in the energy of excitement for a lot of people when you're going through a really difficult time. But it does provide a contrast versus this feeling of when opportunities present themselves for us to connect with others, we are saying no to those opportunities, right? And it's accompanied with constriction, a tightness, um, a heaviness. And when we go into our period of solitude, we're not necessarily, or I should say, in this case, isolation, we're not necessarily finding greater peace, or we might experience temporary relief. There's that too, you know, but paying attention to the subtle cues and shining the light on that. There's nothing one needs to even do about that. If in fact it is would be supportive of me in a given situation, for example, when I'm going through a difficult time, to be around people. Last night was an example. Last night was a great example. I got invited to my brother's house for dinner. It was a last minute thing, and I spent the day, a large part of the day, in um, not socializing too much. Getting my stuff done, doing my own things, and in the breaks, I was just taking time to myself. And I tuned in, and when I tuned in, it actually felt right. It felt aligned to go, and I went. And there are other things, that came up earlier in the week that it didn't feel aligned to go to. So it's changing. It's dynamic, and we know, and paying attention to the body's cues is really helpful. How it feels in the body. Yeah.
Welcoming it or not welcoming it, being attuned to it, as you called it, recognizing it, even knowing. It's like there's a beautiful poem that I can't remember right now, but it says that I came many nights. So the person is complaining, why didn't you come earlier? And the soul, the higher self, the guide says, I have come many nights. I have knocked at your door many times, but you were too busy to answer the call and open the door. So the question is, are we really ready to open the door, to go through that process? Because as you said, we may not be, and that's okay too. But when we are, it's like the celebration, the Yalda celebration. We stay up whole night. It is difficult. It is dark. It is cold. But then we know that from that moment onward, there is the promise of more light. And that's the reason we go through that, because there is the promise of more light.
A very deep topic that we've only scratched the surface of. But I think we've covered some key points here that I hope for any listeners who are going through a difficult time, that you were able to find some value in that. Mitra, any final words before we close?
No, just recognize it and welcome it if it's coming and knocking at your door. That's all, because it's not as difficult as we think it is. Once we befriend it, once we sit with it and ask, I think it will really make things much, much lighter and better. We look at life in a different light.
Well, we wish everybody a beautiful week, and Mitra, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.